Today's question on the fly is, should you lend friends or family money?
I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
Welcome to Relational Media.
Should you lend friends or family money? You know, here's the thing on my side. I have the feeling you have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to say a little bit.
I have a little bit to say, but I don't have a lot to say.
Okay. Which is, I think it depends on a lot of factors, not the least of which what the meaning of money is to you as a couple, but also what the meaning of money is to the person you might be lending it to. And the circumstance matters.
Mm-hmm.
I love these questions, but also these questions drive me a little nuts because context matters.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is a really important one where context matters. For instance, let's make an iteration of this question. Would you lend money to friends or family who are drug addicted?
Mm-hmm. No.
So context matters.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way to answer this is to try to understand what money means to you and what you think it means to the person you're lending to.
And I think it also goes, and this isn't going to be a shock, I think it gets back to core values. If you see somebody who is in a bind and not able to, meet some basic level of survival, and you would hate to be in that position and you're in a position to help, as Jeff says, that changes the context versus, hey, I'm a few $100s short of buying the motorcycle I want.
Yeah, right.
So I think context here is very important. And I think it's one of those things that it really benefits to be on the same page, because I could see the person who submitted this question, I could see them saying, I really don't think we should, but my boyfriend or husband really thinks that we should.
Yeah.
And therefore, we're in disagreement, and I want somebody to answer this the way I want it answered.
Right.
And I think there's really a need here, as if you're on the same page about the things that are more important to you than money, then you have a path to answer this question. If you haven't decided as a couple what's more important to you than money, and money is a resource of contention in your relationship, then this could be a really volatile, dangerous question to push until that's resolved. And I want to make the big point that should be resolved as to, what is it in your relationship that you value more than the checking account balance.
Yeah, so I think you're really saying, and I totally agree with you, that if you're going to answer this question about whether to lend money, you first need to answer the question, what are our common values?
Mm-hmm.
What's more important to us than money? And if you don't know that, then you're not ready yet to lend money to someone else.
Yeah, and I want to go. Let's make a couple of assumptions now. Let's assume that you've had the discussion and you do know what's more important to you than money, and you're both in agreement that this is a situation where you want to help. Now, I didn't say what you're going to do, but you've decided that you want to help. One of my favorite things is to recognize that it is a good thing to be in a financial position where you can help others. Mm-hmm. That is one of the ways that you can measure financial success, is that you have kept your wants and needs in check, and that you have built a future with some reserves and some margin, and you're now in a position to have some excess that can be shared with others who find themselves in a position that they didn't want to be in. So, first of all, congratulations if you're in that spot, and if you're not, that's a really great spot to get to. It feels very good to be able to help other people and not be worried about putting yourself in a crisis to do so.
I agree. The other thought that came to my mind just when you were talking is related to context is, someone else may be coming to you with a request to borrow money because they have an emergency. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that emergencies do is they really ramp up anxiety.
Sure.
The person asking is obviously
anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, let's assume they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's likely that they are, right? But I do think it's important when you're assessing whether or not to give to slow things down a lot. Mm-hmm. And make sure that their anxiety is not sort of being absorbed by you, so that you're making a decision out of a place of clarity from your values, from your core values, rather than, spur of the moment, kind of impulsive, of course I'll help you.
Yeah. I know that people a lot of times will also say, man, you guys are going through something. Do you need anything? Don't ask that question if you're not ready to offer some help, especially if you know that that question might lead to an ask. So, you can be empathetic without setting yourself up to be in that place that you didn't want to get into. Now, I also want to say that there are times that you do want to help. And, maybe you've even offered to say, hey, can we, pick up your grocery bill for the month? Can we, do whatever it is to kind of help out? And the person says, oh, I could never take your money. You could absolutely say, well, how about we just call it a loan with no specific date? But, I kind of go back to some ancient principles that say, loan to family or friends is fine. Go ahead and do that, but don't expect it back.
Yeah.
Don't put the strings on it that say, I'm going to be seeing this money again soon.
And if you think you can't do that without being resentful, then don't do it.
Then don't do it.
Because it has this potential to interrupt the quality of the relationship with that person. And I personally think the relationship itself is much more important than the money.
Yeah. And, you can always forgive a loan later. It doesn't need to be something that you leave hanging over a friend or a family member's head. Some really great language around that is, hey, I know you went through, that real challenging time. I know it is your intention and has been your intention to pay that back. My spouse and I have talked about it, and we think you've really been through the mill on this, and the last thing that we want you to do is worrying about paying that back. We love you, and we don't want to add to the stress, and just don't worry about that anymore.
Consider it a gift. If you like our video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us to get this content to you.
And if you have some questions that you'd like us to take a whack at, you can submit them to us online. And as always, stay curious.